This is Talk with TAS, a radio experience hosted by Dr. Teresa A. Smith, a licensed counselor and professor focused on the transformative journeys of her guests and the lessons they've learned along the way. She's also an author, speaker, and nationally known social media personality. Join her now as she interviews newsmakers, artists, authors, and more. You will learn something new. This is Talk with TAS. Here's your host, Dr. Teresa A. Smith, also known as Dr. TAS.
Hi, this is Dr. TAS, and I am here today with one of my great friends, Kendrick Thomas. I call him KT, and I'm going to just be honest. Sometimes I butcher his name, and he says, that's okay, TAS. I'm going to let you go with it. And I appreciate that because he knows that my heart is really there. We had an opportunity to meet really by happenstance, but if you've been following me, I don't think anything just happens. We were connected through a mutual friend, and I didn't know the mutual friend. He reached out to me on social media, and then he connected the three of us. And I must tell you, when he connected us, I felt like I had met my brother because I don't have any brothers. And we were able to connect across the country because he's in Texas and I'm in North Carolina. But as I got to work with KT, I realized that he had a story that I felt my viewers needed to hear. Now, my show is about transformation, going from your thens into your now. And when I heard his story of all the things that he overcame to become a school administrator, he's a motivational speaker, he's a youth advocate, I thought, I want someone to see what this Black man is doing. So Kendrick is joining me today from Houston, Texas. So Kendrick, I'm going to throw you the mic, as we say sometimes, and I want you to talk a little bit about what you do now, and then I'm going to back it up and we're going to talk about your backstory.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. As Dr. Todd stated, Kendrick Thomas here in Houston, Texas, currently an assistant principal for Hicks Elementary in A-Leaf ISD. Awesome child advocate, just love giving back to my community. Of course, we do the podcast on kttv.com that's going out. And it all involves education, our community, and simply building up entrepreneurs as they share their resources with our community. And so that's where my focus is, just giving back.
Well, it's not just giving back. You've been giving back since you were a very young child. Yeah. Now, your home is Shreveport, Louisiana, I believe.
Yes.
And I think when I was doing my research, I found out that you were born to your mom, who was 15 at the time.
Yes.
And, you're the oldest. I think it's maybe 3 kids.
Yeah.
And there was something that happened during your childhood that may have been one of the pivotal moments that helped to propel you to work really right now with young children, and you're able to help mold them. Would you like to share with us what happened at that early age?
Yes. One of the biggest things that really kind of formed my mentality in life was my mom went to prison. Right. And so armed robbery. And I want to say it was 1988. So I was 8. She was very young, because very young, like 20 something. And so then that put us in a place where we were about to go to foster care. My grandmother stepped in, and then it was on me though, because grandma, but I, as the oldest, I have to step in and take care of the kids. My little brother, my little sister, I remember combing my sister's hair and trying to get us together before school. But that really told me okay, you got to stand up and you got to. So then being raised by your grandparents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that piece, it just molds you to see the positive. And we were the candy store people in the community, right? So everybody came to us, and we were always just doing this. And so that was some of the ways. I remember in 3rd grade, I wrote a poem. After my mom went to jail, I wrote a poem called Life Is. And I was 8, Dr. Taz, and talking about life, this got published statewide. They picked up the poem and it was inside of a book, but that's really how deep it was at that early age.
Now, I've heard so much. I'm trying to figure out which direction do I want to jump in first. Let's back up a little bit. You said that your mom went to prison for armed robbery.
Yeah.
I know that she was 15 when she had you.
Mm-hmm.
What was the catalyst for her to commit the crime? Do
Yeah.
you know?
Dr. Taz, she stole some money and washing powder. Yes.
Money and washing powder.
Yeah, we were living, we didn't have any lights at that time. Matter of fact, when it all happened, me, my brother, and sister were asleep in the car in the driveway. And then, so now after she did this, she comes back home, and it's a standoff, really. So we're in the middle, police on this side screaming for her to come out. And that's how my grandma found out, because her neighbor in her neighborhood always kept the police scanner on. And so he heard it, came next door and said, I think something's going on. They were able to rescue us out. But yeah, so it was just, I mean, you know, drugs, don't get me wrong, you know, they played a part, but after that, I think it was just, you know, you think about what she stole and where she was at, really, you know. And so that
You
was it.
know, when you say a standoff, it gave me chills. I can remember being 9, and I would say the year. I'm not going to say the year like you do, but I'm not going to say that. But I can remember being 9, I think I was 10, and in January of that year, seeing a police standoff, seeing the police, the sheriff around this gentleman, and my mother running through the house and seeing this, and the feeling
Yeah.
of helplessness. Because when you said that to me, it took me back to that moment, and I got chills. And thinking about a young child witnessing that and not knowing what's happening, you know, why is it that the police are there? Why are they trying to take your mom from you? And then being the male,
Yeah.
being that male. And we, as a Black race, and I'm not going to speak for all Black people, but from my upbringing, there's so much responsibility that the male has in the family.
Yeah.
And you didn't mention your dad. I know your mom was 15, and then seeing this happen, as you talked about, combing your sister's hair, all of that responsibility fell on you almost immediately.
Yes.
But, the one thing, given the context of the world that we live in right now, the other thing I do want to state is I'm thankful that, and I think you'll get it, KT, others may not. I'm thankful that your mom was able to go to prison, because it could have been a different outcome that morning or that afternoon or that day.
Yes. Yes.
It could have been a different outcome, and you guys could have lost your mom.
Yeah.
So, I always try to look for the silver lining in everything, because I believe that we're constantly growing, but sometimes it takes years for us to see it. So we understand there was some drugs, but she stole some money and washing powders. So what I'm hearing, and you correct me, you were raised by 3 strong Black women. Because in doing my research, I know that your grandmother stepped in once your mom went to prison. So I'm still going to keep your mom as one of those strong Black women.
Oh, yes.
Because she was trying to take care of her kids. Maybe she wasn't going about it the right way.
Yeah.
But she was still doing what she knew to do, because she was a mom at 15.
Yeah.
And I think you said did you say you were 8 when were you 5 when she was incarcerated?
No, I was 8. Yeah, because
You were
that
8
was 1988.
So that means, she's still 23?
Yeah.
So she's still a very young person, and, have been trying to find her way during that time period. But you had your mom, then your grandmother stepped in, and so the kids did not have to go into the foster system, which is a blessing.
Yes.
And then I think in doing my research, you indicated you had an opportunity to also be raised by your great grandmother. So you had 3 generations of strong Black women influencing you.
Yeah.
Now, was your grandfather involved in your upbringing? So I guess what I'm trying to do is connect some dots here. We've got strong Black women.
Yeah.
We've got a strong Black man. you had already began to understand at a young age the responsibility of a Black male. And you stepped in to help alleviate some of the additional stress that would have been on your grandparents.
Yes.
Now, thinking about that time, what's the one lesson, or maybe two, that you may have learned from your grandfather that has endeared with you and kind of helped steer you into the man that you have become?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. With granddad, I will just start by saying, granddad, I never met my dad. So granddad was very instrumental into that piece. Even when I stayed out where my mom went to jail from, no matter where I stayed, he would come pick me up every Friday, bring me over, and then make sure I went to church on Sunday, and then drop me back off. So that was what granddad would do. I think of a lot of times whenever he'd have to leave, he'd always say, "Okay, you're in charge. Take care of grandmama." So just things like that. Even remember just saying we had the candy store, so I was the one getting up when customers came and going, waiting on people, so doing that in the community. And so one thing that he taught me was just simply just about being the man, like being a man, and just understanding that protector part, that provider part. Yeah, that was it, because he made it happen. Right. You think about when he passed and we would clean up, we would just find random money just all over the place. But it was because he knew, like, I got to take care of things. And so that's what he would always take me to the bank with him when they go cash in. So just a lot of those lessons of being a man.
Kendrick, you had such a wonderful, rich upbringing. You talk about finding the money. I can remember my mom talking about that with older people in a certain time period. They didn't always trust the banks, and so they would have money hidden throughout the house. And then it was when they would pass that you would find it, but you never knew just how much money they had. But they were thinking ahead. They were just planning for the future in a different way. So when you talk about, the protective piece, obviously that's there, and that has stayed with you. I see that in the work that you do in the schools with our kids. Also, being a man, you're doing that when you work with the boys club and helping them to grow into manhood. But also, I know you're about building and that sense of community. And when you had said the candy store in the community, I was thinking you meant that people came to you guys' house and they bought candy. And I know years ago they used to talk about that penny candy. I may be going, okay, I'm really aging myself, that penny candy. And so, but when I hear you say that, it's like, oh, that sense of community, the sense of responsibility that each of us has as it relates to the community, our actual physical community, and then the community as a larger agent. You got that understanding really from your grandparents, but being quote unquote active in the candy store.
Yeah, Dr. Thomas, when I was in 5th grade, and I think about this as a school administrator, this lady would have been fired probably on the spot. My 5th grade teacher knew that we had the candy store, but we'd also sold school supplies and all that. So I would take up money in my class, walk away out of elementary school, home, to go buy all the kids' stuff, and then come back to school. So my grandma would be like, what are you doing here? You wasn't, but that was it though, that responsibility. You just think about that trust that she just in place in a 10-year-old to walk and come back with people money.
And but that entrepreneurship though too.
Yeah.
It was being developed during that time period. And you're right, if that was happening now, she would be fired. I'm telling you, there's no way you're going to let a kid leave campus and then come back running quote unquote errands for the classroom. Yeah. But it's amazing how times have changed. But when I talk to folks and I see how those tenets were embedded in their DNA at such an early age, and then how it blossoms. So let's just fast forward now. Your mom comes home, you're doing good, your siblings are doing well. what propelled you? Because I know that, it's not like there wasn't some gang violence and, things of that nature, drugs, in the community. What was it that helped you to stay focused on a different future? I know your grandfather was instrumental, but what helped you to stay focused?
I think later in life, and I tell this story to my elementary kids when we talk about college all the time. Dr. Taz, I didn't know about college until almost March of my 12th grade year. Like that was my first time ever hearing about college. And so what happened was I asked a friend of mine, or well, be really my god brother. I said, man, what you doing after you graduate? He said, man, I'm going to college. I said, man, what is college? And so then we started talking about it. And before I knew it, I told mama that's what I want to do too. And so I think that was the pivotal point right there, because when I did that, I was able to get enrolled in August. Of course, I'm behind on everything. So it was some close cut times in there. I may have to go home. But God worked it out. And I was able to meet people there who were outside of home, outside of that neighborhood, outside of gangs and violence. And really, that was the pivotal point. That was it.
I'm trying not to cry.
Yes.
Because when you say to me, you didn't even know what college was until like March, it's your spring year. That is, people already know where they're going at that point. You think about it, the path, you've taken the SAT several times, the ACT, you have some options by the time spring comes of your senior year. And to hear you say that you didn't even know what college was.
Yeah.
But you spoke to your god brother, I think you said,
yes.
And he's like, I'm going to go to college. And you're like, what is that? And he explained it to you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
And you're able to share that with your mom. And she may not have fully understood what it meant.
Yeah.
And I'm putting words in your mouth. You didn't say this, and I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. But she knew it was important.
Yeah.
She knew it was important. And you guys were able to work it out. And as I tell people all the time, nothing just happens. Then God was able to put the right people in your path.
Yeah.
And then we look back on where you were and where you are now. And you are a success. Yeah. And you're the type of person that can give hope to other people who may not even know what college is. Because there are people, even in this day and time, they don't know what college is. They don't know what opportunities education will open up for them. So to hear you say that, because I didn't know this, it just resonates with me, just how God was orchestrating your future. And I'm an educator, and I'm going to try to say this on the PC side.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to be at the high school level. And I believe you have to be called to middle school level, because middle school is a totally different animal. I'm a former school counselor, for those that don't know. So those middle school counselors, give them their props, because our kids are they're just all over the place. They don't know who they are, and their hormones are changing, and their bodies are changing, their minds are changing. They're just everywhere. But elementary school, it's not always a lot of minority males, Black males, who work in elementary. Yeah. So I don't know what your aspirations were, KT, but when I hear your story, I think about all the nugget, all the guidance, all the wisdom, the role model that you are for all of those kids, regardless of their race or their ethnicity. Because they don't know it, but you have lived some of the things that some of them may be living, those hardships, and you were able to overcome them. And that is when I look at your resume, when I look at your speaking, when I look at the things that we've done together, this helps me to understand why you're so laser focused on schools and the community. Because it was the bridge.
Yeah, that's all I had.
It was the bridge. If you could tell that 8-year-old KT, a little Kendrick, if you could give him a message, what would that message be?
That's powerful. Oof. All right, now you about to make me tear up.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. Hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay.
Take your time.
I will say, don't be afraid. Don't. It was hard, because I didn't understand what was going on, right? I just knew we had to stay with grandma,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I remember transferring to a new school. Like each level of school, I went to two schools because we always moved, so I was very transit. And so I would say, don't be afraid, right? When you get to this new place and you got to make new friends, and you most of the time was from a rival part of the community, so people didn't like you just because of where you come from. Keep pushing, right? Stay solid, and really stay focused. But the biggest thing was don't be afraid, because I went through a lot when I first moved to that neighborhood of really getting bullied. One, I moved in the candy store. Now you really think I got something going on, so now you're really trying to fight me. Yeah, but so just don't be afraid. That's it.
Well, transformation is freedom.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It comes and it hits us when we least expect it. We could do a whole show on bullying
Yep.
because, and as you said, you use the term we use in education. You're a transient. You're a transient
Yeah.
student. You lived here maybe one part of the school year, then
Yeah.
you moved somewhere else, another part of the school year, and so you're always chasing. What's the word I want to use? You're always,
Connections.
say it again for me, Kendrick.
Connections.
Yeah, exactly. Connection. Because by the time you get a connection, you have to move again.
Yeah.
And connection is so important. And I think about the year that we've just gone through, where people were not able to connect with their family in a physical sense, and what that did to us emotionally, and psychologically. So that connection is so important. And so, what a wonderful message, what a wonderful gift to give to the younger KT. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
It looks dark, but don't be afraid. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Well, Kendrick, thank you for being a guest on my show. Thank you for being willing to be vulnerable with me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I started crying and got you going too. I just felt it when you talked about the standoff. I felt
Yeah.
it because I've seen that sort of thing before. And I'm just so thankful that it turned out well for your mother, uh, for your siblings. And I'm thankful that you had your grandparents and a great grandmother that was able to stand in the gap while your mother was away.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that your mom, because she knew that you guys were going to be okay, and your granddad helped reinforce that to help you shape you into the man that you've become, because all of that is what makes you the successful school administrator. The youth advocate helps you to become the speaker, the mentor, the coach, the podcast host. All the great things that you do, it comes from where you started.
Yes.
And sometimes, as a friend of mine said to me, don't begrudge small beginnings,
Yeah.
because we can see what small beginnings you had, but look at where you are now and the lives that you are touching.
Yeah.
So as we bring this segment to a close, I want you to let my audience know how they can stay in contact with you.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so very, very much for being a guest on my show, Transform with TAS.
Man, Dr. TAS, it was my pleasure. Like I say, I've been doing this for at least 2 years straight. It's my first time shedding a few tears, but I mean, we went deep in there. So for the audience, if they want to connect, learn more about the videos, about the speaking, simply kttv.com, KTTEEV. .com. And so that's that. They'll find the social media, everything right there.
All righty then. And I will have it as part of the show. So again, Kendrick Thomas has been my guest. KT, thank you so much for your willingness to share your story and to help me change lives. Thank you again.
Thank you for listening to Talk with TAS with Dr. Teresa A. Smith. For more information on this show and Dr. TAS, you should visit AskDrTaz.com. That's AskDrTas.com. Talk with TAS is a production of DQ Consulting, LLC. Dr. Teresa Smith, Executive Producer.